It doesn't happen all at once. Sometimes the signs are quiet: a skipped meal, a strange pause in conversation, or a faraway look in their eyes. If someone you care about starts to seem different, it might not just be aging. It could be the body's quiet way of preparing to let go. Most people miss these early signs. But today, you're not most people. You're here to listen, to learn, and to be ready with love and clarity. Let's be honest. Talking about death is uncomfortable. Most of us would rather avoid it. But here's the truth. Death rarely shows up without sending signals first. The body starts giving small hints long before the final moment. Maybe someone you love is sleeping more, skipping meals, or seems less present. It's easy to think they're just getting older. But sometimes it's more than that. In this video, we'll walk through 5 signs that often appear during the final year of life. They're not always obvious, but once you see them, you'll never look at these changes the same way again. Knowing what to expect means you can be there in the right way, with calm, with care, and with compassion. Here's what most families don't realize. Death doesn't usually happen suddenly. The body sends signs, quiet ones, weeks or even months in advance. But those signs, they're easy to miss. Your loved one sleeps more, eats less, starts pulling back from conversations. And we tell ourselves, that's just old age. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the body preparing for something deeper. By the time we realize what's happening, it can feel like it's too late. The good news? You don't have to wait until regret shows up. You can start noticing the changes now. You can respond with care instead of panic. That shift, seeing clearly and acting with love, can change everything. Let's talk about something that often gets brushed off: weight loss. Not the kind where someone is dieting or being more active. We're talking about unexpected weight loss. The kind that shows up slowly but clearly. Pants that used to fit now sag. Shirts hang a little looser. And maybe you notice they're leaving more food on the plate. At first, it might seem like nothing. You might think, well, they're just not as hungry these days. But this kind of weight loss is different. It's not just about food. It's about how the body is starting to shift. As people move toward the final stages of life, the body often stops absorbing nutrients in the same way. Even when they eat, the energy just isn't going where it used to. Muscle mass begins to disappear. Strength fades. It's like the body is slowly letting go. And here's something most people don't realize. This change doesn't always happen fast. It can unfold over weeks or even months. You might see it in subtle ways. Maybe they'll stop asking for seconds. Maybe they're not finishing their coffee like they used to. Or their favorite dessert sits untouched in the fridge. The appetite fades, not because they're picky or forgetful, but because the body is no longer sending those strong hunger signals. Sometimes it's linked to something deeper like cancer, heart failure, or kidney disease. But other times, it's simply part of the natural shutdown process. Digestion slows. The body pulls energy away from things like appetite and puts it toward keeping the essentials going. And when that happens, even the foods they used to love lose their appeal. So what can you do? First, don't panic. And don't push. This isn't a time to load up their plate or beg them to eat more. Instead, try offering small portions of comfort food. Things that are easy to chew, soft on the stomach, and bring a sense of warmth or memory. A spoonful of applesauce, a bit of mashed potatoes, a warm sip of soup. These aren't just calories, they're connection. Most importantly, shift your mindset. The goal isn't to reverse the weight loss. It's to support them where they are. It's about comfort, dignity, and presence. If they eat, great. If they don't, that's okay too. Just being there, sharing the moment, that's what counts. Because in this season of life, it's not about nutrition charts or portion sizes. It's about love. And love, as we all know, shows up best in the quiet, thoughtful details. You might not be able to stop the change, but you can walk with them through it. You can help them feel seen, not managed. And that makes all the difference in their final chapter. Let's talk about tiredness, but not the kind you shake off with a nap. This is a different kind of fatigue. It's the kind that settles into the bones. It doesn't go away after a good night's sleep or a quiet afternoon. It lingers. It deepens. And it's one of the clearest signs that the body is starting to pull back from daily demands. You might notice your loved one sitting more often, or maybe they start sleeping through meals, skipping their usual walk, or struggling just to get out of bed. Something as simple as brushing teeth becomes a chore. You see them breathe heavier after small movements. And, it's not just being tired. They're running on empty. This isn't laziness. It's not giving up. It's the body saving what little energy it has left. As we near the final phase of life, the body shifts focus. It slows metabolism. It stops using energy for things it once did. Instead, that energy is redirected to basic survival, keeping the heart beating and the lungs working. Everything else becomes less important. Emotionally, this can be hard, especially if your loved one was once very independent. They might feel frustrated or even ashamed that they can't do what they used to. They may withdraw, skip conversations, pull back from favorite hobbies, not because they don't care, but because it's just too much. And this is where your role shifts. Instead of encouraging them to stay active or try harder, the greatest gift you can offer is presence without pressure. Sit with them. Let them nap. Hold their hand. Make space for silence. Small gestures become huge in moments like these. You're telling them you're still enough, just as you are. If you see your loved one dealing with deep, ongoing tiredness, don't ignore it. Recognize it for what it is, the body slowing down. Meet them where they are. Let them set the pace. And above all, permit them to rest. Because in the end, rest isn't failure. It's preparation. It's the body getting ready to let go with peace. And your quiet support in that space, that might be the most powerful thing you ever do. Remember, this time is not about pushing limits. It's about creating ease, softening expectations, and being present for what truly matters. Let's talk about something that can catch families off guard: confusion. Not just forgetting where the car keys are or mixing up dates. This kind of confusion feels different. It shows up slowly. One day, they forget a name. Next, they seem distant in a place they've known their whole life. They may repeat themselves. They may stare off mid-sentence. And sometimes, they don't seem like themselves at all. It's scary, and it's heartbreaking. But it's also a sign that the brain, just like the rest of the body, is beginning to slow down. As blood flow and oxygen to the brain decrease, memory, attention, and emotion start to shift. This isn't just about old age. It's part of the body's way of preparing for the final phase. You might notice your loved one sitting quietly in a room full of people, not joining the conversation, or answering in ways that don't quite make sense. They might ask the same question 5 times in 1 hour, or forget your name, someone they've known their whole life. It's painful, but it doesn't mean they've stopped loving you. It just means their brain is working differently now. And this withdrawal, it's not always confusion. Sometimes it's just emotional exhaustion. The noise of the world becomes too much. Simple interactions feel overwhelming. So they pull back. They choose stillness. And in that quiet, they're not gone. They're simply going inward. So what can you do? First, meet them where they are. Don't correct every mistake. Don't quiz them. Don't force long conversations. Instead, speak gently. Use their name. Offer familiar smells, soft music, or old photographs. These simple things help them feel safe. They ground them in comfort. And more than anything, stay patient. Because even when they forget your name, they often remember your voice, your presence, your love. Even when words fade, emotion stays. a calm tone, a loving smile, a gentle hand on theirs. These things speak louder than any sentence ever could. If you notice confusion or withdrawal in someone you love, don't panic. Don't assume it's something you have to fix. This is part of the journey, and your role is to walk beside them, not pull them back to where they used to be. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Just being there is more than enough. What they need most isn't answers. It's reassurance that they're not alone, that they're still deeply loved. Let's talk about something easy to overlook at first. How often your loved one is getting sick. We all expect a few colds here and there, especially with age. But when someone starts getting infections more frequently, or when recovery takes a lot longer than it used to, that's something worth paying attention to. You might notice they've had 3 urinary tract infections in the past few months, or that a simple cough from last week has now turned into 2 weeks of fatigue and chest congestion. Cuts or scrapes don't heal like they used to. Bruises linger, and what once took a few days to bounce back from now takes a week or more. This isn't just because they're older. It's because the immune system is slowing down. As the body prepares for its final phase, energy and resources get rerouted. Instead of going toward fighting off illness or healing wounds, the body conserves energy for the most basic, vital functions: breathing, circulation, and staying warm. Families often try to fix it. More antibiotics, more appointments, another round of treatment. And while that might be the right move in some cases, sometimes it's not about curing anymore. Sometimes it's about comfort. It's about easing symptoms instead of eliminating them. It's about helping your loved one feel better, not just trying to make them better. Think about this. If someone is already feeling weak and tired, dragging them to appointment after appointment might not help. It might actually wear them down more. What they may need instead is a warm blanket, quiet time, hydration, and people who care. That kind of care, gentle, thoughtful, and present, can mean more than any prescription. And here's another thing to watch for. Infections in older adults don't always show up the way we expect. They might not have a fever. Instead, they seem more confused, more tired, less interested in eating. That's often the first clue that something is wrong. And if you can catch it early, you can make a big difference in how comfortable they feel. So if your loved one is getting sick more often or not recovering the way they used to, don't ignore it. And don't feel like you have to fix it all either. This might be the body's way of saying, I'm slowing down. And when that happens, the most powerful thing you can offer isn't medicine. It's presence, attention, and love. Being present, watching closely, and offering care instead of cures could be the most healing act in those final months. Let's talk about something that often shows up in the final stages of life: changes in breathing and circulation. This one can be hard to witness, but it's one of the body's clearest ways of saying, I'm getting tired. You might notice their breathing starts to slow down or become shallow. Sometimes it's uneven, fast 1 minute, then a long pause the next. It could be unsettling if you've never seen it before. And then there's the physical touch. You hold their hand, and it's colder than usual. Their feet feel like ice. You might notice their skin turning pale, or even a little bluish around the fingers, lips, or toes. This is all part of the circulation system slowing down. The heart isn't pumping as forcefully anymore. The body, in its wisdom, starts focusing its energy inward, keeping blood flow to the most important organs like the brain and heart. For many families, this part feels scary. It's easy to think, should we call someone? Are they in danger? But often, this is a natural, expected part of the dying process. It doesn't always mean pain. It doesn't mean suffering. It means the body is preparing to rest. And sometimes that rest looks like slower breaths, colder limbs, and longer pauses. You might hear what people call the death rattle, a gurgling sound when they breathe. that happens when the throat muscles relax and saliva collects. It sounds worse than it feels. And while it's tough to hear, it's usually not causing discomfort. Still, there are things you can do. Propping them up with pillows, using a humidifier, or gently wiping their mouth can ease the sensation. The most important thing in this stage is not to panic. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Let your loved one feel your steadiness. They may not say much or anything at all, but they feel you there. They sense the tone of the room. They pick up on your energy. So keep the space quiet. Soft lighting. Familiar music. Cool the room if it's warm. Offer sips of water if they can still swallow. These small acts of care go a long way. You're not just supporting their body, you're supporting their soul. When breathing changes show up, it doesn't mean you're out of time, but it does mean it's time to slow down, to listen, to sit, and to simply be, because in these moments, presence speaks louder than any words. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to be there. That, more than anything else, brings peace in the end. When several of these signs start showing up at the same time, unexpected weight loss, deep tiredness, mental fog, frequent illness, and changes in breathing, it's like the body is quietly telling a story. And that story is, I'm getting ready. For many people, this is the hardest part. It feels like watching someone you love slowly drift away. And in a way, that's exactly what's happening. But here's the truth. This doesn't have to be a time of fear. It could be a time of grace. A time to pause, reflect, and be present. These final months, weeks, or days are not just about decline. They're about connection. They're about listening more, holding hands longer, and saying what's always been in your heart. You don't need to have the perfect words. You just need to show up. Sit beside them. Offer comfort. Offer silence. Sometimes the most powerful moments come from simply being still together. No pressure. No fixing. Just love. So if you're seeing these signs, take a deep breath. Slow everything down. Make space for one more story. One more smile. One more touch. This is sacred time, and how you spend it will stay with you forever. These moments are more than just endings. They're the final brushstrokes on a life well lived. And being part of that moment, that's something truly meaningful. Let's be real. Watching someone you love come to the end of their life is never easy. But when you understand what's happening, you can shift from fear to presence. You're no longer just reacting. You're showing up with intention. You recognize the signs not as problems to fix, but as signals to slow down and lean in. This is your chance to say what needs to be said, to hold their hand without rushing, to make peace, to honor everything they've lived through. Every wrinkle, every laugh, every scar. These moments matter, and how you show up in them becomes part of their story and yours. So let this time be filled with care, with softness, and with love. Because love is what stays long after words have faded. If this video helped you see things differently, share it with someone who might need it. Leave a comment below and tell us what stood out to you. Maybe it was a sign you recognized. Maybe it was a reminder to slow down. Your story might help someone else feel less alone. And if you want more honest, gentle conversations like this one, hit that subscribe button. We're here to walk this journey with you, because no one should have to face it without support.